What is up, my Shadowverse soldiers, and welcome back to another Shadowverse Evolved video. Alright soldiers, in this video we are finally here with the Set 10 Forestcraft reveals. I know in the past, if you haven't looked at the older videos that I made, I talked about this accelerated schedule and everything that's going to be happening, but Set 10 is going to be normal, Set 11 is going to be normal, our special sets in the future are going to be a little bit normal, and then after that is when things get a little crazy. But that's not until November, and we're starting our summer, so why not start our summer with some Forestcraft reveals? Alright, so before we get into it, let's talk about this set a little bit. So Set 10 is going to have a whole bunch of cards that are going to be tarot cards. That's what they're going to be looking like. I am not a huge tarot enjoyer, and I am not really interested in that type of stuff outside of my favorite game, Persona. Now, Persona is one of my personal favorite games, and I do like how each tarot cards represents, like, you know, the Fool, like the Clown, stuff like that, you know, different things. I really do enjoy that on the aspect of tarot, but, you know, in terms of gameplay-wise for Persona, I really like how each character represents themselves as whatever Arcana that they are. So I'm going to really kind of internalize, you know, each different Arcana that we're going to see, because I know in Forestcraft they have the Hanged Man, and the Hanged Man is the Fool, stuff like that. I don't know what it really means in a deep meaning because I don't do like deep tarot readings, but I'm going to make that comparison to Persona whenever I look at these cards. Alright, so starting off with our first card, we have number 12, Wolfraud, Hanged Man. So he's a 2-cost 2/2. You can evolve from 1, and this card can't take ability damage or be destroyed by abilities. It can be destroyed by combat damage, but when it comes into play, you can spend 5 play points to search your deck for a treacherous reversal, put it into your EX area, and then shuffle your deck. For the rest of this turn, it costs 8 less to play. Alright, so what I'm really enjoying from this card itself right now is that, you know, on top of that, they have the Roman numerals, so you can remember this card as number 12 for this set. Or if you want to remember it from its Arcana, the Hanged Man Arcana, because that's what it is. That's another thing you can look forward to remembering this card too. But what really gets me here is the text under this evolve. So I don't know if they might have missed aura in the little translation here, because this is exactly what aura does. But like, if this card it can't take ability damage, it can still be chosen. That's what really will confuse me here, is because cards with aura can't be chosen, but this card looks like it can be chosen, but you know, it just has the aura text on it. So I think this card has aura, and we might have missed it. I might have missed it, I don't know, because this is just straight aura text. And the other thing I'm really enjoying about this card is this interesting fanfare ability, which is going to cost you a total of 7 play points, which searches for this treacherous reversal card, which of course we're going to figure out before the end of this video what it does, but we do know is an 8-cost card that you're going to be playing from your EX area. Alright, and then we have the Hangman Evolve. So he turns into a 3/3, and this ability can't take ability damage or be destroyed by abilities, but on Evolve, if you have combo 3, you give this follower +1/+1. Alright, so it looks like this treacherous reversal card is really going to affect your opponent in some sort of way, because turning this into a 4/4 isn't too crazy. I think you might be giving something Storm like this, or I'm not really sure what this treacherous reversal is going to do, but it really is going to shake up the plan if it's an 8-cost card that you're going to be playing for free for your legendary for the deck. Alright, but next up we have Lucille Keeper of Relics. So she's a 6-cost 4/4. When she comes into play, you summon an ancient artifact or a mystic artifact token. Put the one you didn't summon into your EX area. You can also activate to engage this card and banish 5 cards with different costs in your EX area. Summon a Spinaria and Lucille Keepers from your Evolve deck. Alright, so starting from the top here, so this being a 6-cost card and you being able to play at least one other card while playing this card is very nice. And then you have the multitude of choosing either the fact that you want to rush into something or you want to play a little defensive and draw a card and have a ward. I really like that too. But looking at this engage ability, so it looks like you're going to be setting up a whole bunch of cards in your EX area so you're able to evolve this follower. I wonder what kind of cards you're going to be putting in your EX area with this deck. Alright, so moving on into Spinaria and Lucille Keeper, so it's a 10-cost 6/6 advanced card. At the start of your end phase, refresh this follower. Whenever an enemy follower is put onto your field, engage this card. You select the follower that entered the field this turn and deal it 6 damage. Also, when it comes into play, you deal 6 damage to each enemy leader and each enemy follower on the field. You also look at the top 2 cards of your deck, and you may put up to 2 cards from among them into your EX area, and then you bury the rest. Alright, so we have our first advanced card. So if you don't already know what the advanced, you know, text or skill, whatever it's called, I'm not 100% sure. If you don't already know what Advance does, then you're able to have this card into your Evolve deck, and at any point in time, this card can be played from your EX area, because usually Evolve cards only just come from your Evolve deck. Well, these Advance cards can be put into your EX area, and they can be paid for a full 10, and you're able to play this follower, you know, the 6/6, and then get all the fanfares and everything. But with the Spinaria we just looked at as our last legendary, you can go ahead and summon this card as long as you're able to engage her, and then banish those 5 cards out of your EX area. But man, these advanced cards, or at least this one, has a pretty good ability. So it deals 6 damage to leader, and it wipes the board for everything that's less than 6. And you're able to put 2 cards from the top of your deck into your EX area. But after that whopping ability, let's look at Chipper Skipper. So she's a 2-cost 1/1 you can evolve for 1, and whenever a mercenary follower is put onto your field, you give it +1/+1 and rush. Alright, so I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know very many mercenary cards, so it looks like there might be some neutrals, or maybe there might be some more forest mercenaries I don't know about that is really going to benefit off of this card. This being a gold card is very interesting, so I'm hoping there's like some mercenaries that are really good in the set that'll really help out, but if there isn't, you know, they get the +1/+1 and rush, and you can make a really cute deck. Alright, so looking at Chipper Skipper Evolve, so she turns into a 2/2, and whenever a mercenary follower is put onto your field, you still give it +1/+1 and rush. But on Evolve, you look at the top 4 cards of your deck, you may put a follower that costs 2 play points or less from among them into your EX area. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order, and for the rest of this turn, that follower costs 2 less to play. Alright, so I can see where they are going with this card. So if you're going to be getting a mercenary follower off the top 4 here that's 2 or less, you're able to play it and rush into something, especially if your opponent's playing very aggressive. I do like it when they add cards into here that just really answer aggressive options, because when we play new decks, we want to play our new decks and we want to survive. We don't want to sit there and play against aggressive decks that are not going to let us play. We want to do the best that we can to survive so we can get into the late game, so we can, you know, do what our deck needs to do. So that's how I can see things on the static ability. So being able to look at the top 4 really does give you some deck knowledge on, you know, what you want to get, what situations that might happen. When you do play this card, you're going to get those fanfares and those summons and everything, whatever you need to do. So being able to get 2 cards for 1 is always a plus in my book. Alright, next up we have Windflower Tiger. So it's a 2-cost 2/3. As ward, when it comes into play, you return a beast follower with a different name than this card on your field to its owner's hand. Next, you search your deck for a Salvia Panther, reveal it and add it to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. Oh yeah, I love this. So I was currently working on a beast list before I was going to do these reveals, but I couldn't get enough support into the deck. Like, we have Lydia, and Lydia's like a pretty prime beast, but we have that new monkey, the White Venonra, I think that's the name of it, that came out, and is just very strong, like a very big evolve card that can swing for a lot of damage in 1 turn. So I think it's the same thing. Beast really want to hype up, you know, the fact that they're able to bounce Beast back in their hand and kind of like loop plays, make Beast bigger in a way if they want to, which I think is a very good aspect for Beast. Alright, so we have our card Treacherous Reversal. So it's an 8-cost spell. You destroy each card on the field, put each card in your EX area into its owner's cemetery, and then you discard your hand and look at the top 5 cards of your deck. You may put any number of cards from among them into your EX area, and then you bury the rest. Alright, so this card is very interesting. So you get an eternal, like, just board wipe everything. You get to clear your opponent's EX area, you get to clear your EX area, you get to clear your opponent's board, but as long as you have the 2-cost card and you paid the 5 play points to go ahead and putting this card into your EX area and it being free for the turn, you're going to have a little extra play points to play with, especially to have those extra cards. But I'm glad it doesn't get rid of your opponent's, you know, cards in hand, because it's pretty balanced in that way. But being able to play out the 2-cost card and paying the extra 5 play points to put this into your EX area, you wipe the board, you get to look at the top 5 cards, put any of the number of them into your EX area to have, and any useless cards you really don't want, you can just bury. But realistically, you just get rid of your hand, so why not just draw 5 more cards? Alright, so we have Salvia Panther. So she's a 3-cost 3/2, and if a beast follower with a different name than this card was returned to your hand from the field this turn, this card costs 2 less to play. You can evolve for 2, and she has Storm. Alright, so I don't remember exactly the name of the owl that came out this past set for set 9, but this owl is going to go crazy with a whole bunch of beasts that are being played, because you can definitely loop these plays. Any of the beast followers you don't really want to keep onto the field, you swing with them and whatnot, and then they have their uses after they do their fanfares. You bounce them right back to your hand. You can get another beast follower. Like, the beasts are going to be playing a little bit lower to the ground this set, which I'm really enjoying. but getting into the later game, they're going to be very nasty when I talked about that white Banana if they're running that in the deck still. Alright, so looking at Panther Evolve, so she turned into a 4-3. She still has Storm, but on Evolve, you select the enemy follower on the field and that costs 3 or less and return it to its owner's hand. So this can really help out when it comes to those pesky Evolve followers that you don't really want to trade into. You can go ahead and put them back into your opponent's hand, but you do have to realize, like, the one thing I don't really enjoy about Forestcraft is when they have cards like this, you're only putting them back into their hand. So of course they're going to go for a different play, or they might do the exact same play next turn, which is just very scary because when it comes into terms of value, you know, if I bounce the card that puts 2 cards into your hand, realistically, what am I doing if I put 2 more cards back in your hand, if I add that card back in your hand? I don't know if that made sense at all, but like, initially I really don't like it when Forestcraft has cards that just initially bounce and not really like puts it on the top of your deck that really stuns your turn for maybe like once, or putting it to the straight bottom where you know you're probably not going to see that card ever again. Alrighty, and next up we have Optimistic Beastmaster. So he's a 4-cost 3-3. When he comes into play, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You may put a card from among them into your EX area and put the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order. You can also activate to engage this card and select the name and follow on the field and deal it damage equal to the number of cards with different cost in your EX area. Alright, so it looks like with the Arcana deck, we're going to be using our EX area a whole lot, which is very nice. It's a very different, you know, pace of how this deck is going to work. But having cards out like that are going to be a little scary sometimes because your turns are now projected. You're minusing 1 from your secret hand and then plus 1ing into your active hand, or, you know, your visual hand. Just everything that everybody's able to see. So I wonder how they're going to really make these Arcana decks work, because if I'm able to see that you're going to be playing a card that you will be playing next turn, my now next turn is going to really focus on getting rid of the Optimistic Beastmaster that you played, and preparing for whatever you're going to be playing next turn that might be from your EX area. But alright, next up we have Lumbering Carrapase. So it's a 1-cost 2-1. It has Rush, but when it comes into play, you combo 3, you search your deck for a Lumbering Carrapase, reveal it, add it to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So looking at our combo deck, so this is going to be a nice 1-cost card to be playing. I think this paired up with Anastasia is going to be insane. Just being able to play 1 and going ahead and getting another one, adding it to your hand once you're on combo 3 is just very nice. And alright, next up we have Reclusive Ponder. So it's a 4-cost 4-4. You can evolve him for 1, but when he comes into play, you search your deck for an Arcana card and put it into your EX area and then shuffle your deck. Alright, so we have the Tart Man for our Arcana card. So the one difference here for the Tart Man, of course, is that you do have to reveal that it is an Arcana card that you're putting into your EX area, but at the same time, you can just throw it into your EX area, and if your opponent needs to look at it, you know, you just reveal it, just throw it into your EX area, and then your opponent's going to wonder what your plans are going to be for the future, because they do have an active way of just seeing it the rest of the game. Alright, so looking at the Ponderer Evolve, so he turns it to a 5-5, but on Evolve, you search your deck for an Arcana card and put it to your EX area, then you shuffle your deck. Okay, so this card isn't that bad, especially since you get a 5-5 on the field, so you are going to be negging cards here, of course, but you're going to be plussing 2 in ways of getting them into your EX area. So do make sure you use these cards into your EX area before you use your Treacherous Reversal, because this is the card that's going to be used in the deck, because you have your Optimistic Beastmaster, which is going to be engaging. You're going to be able to at least do 2 damage to a follower through that card, so hopefully this Arcana deck will be interesting when using cards like Reclusive Ponderer. Alrighty, next up we have Crocus Rat. So it's a 1-cost 2-2. When this card is returned to your hand from your field, you give your leader +1 defense. You can also spend 5 play points when this card comes into the field. You select the enemy follower on the field, its owner puts it to the bottom of their deck, and you draw a card. So the one thing about Beast is you're going to be bouncing these lower cost cards back into your hand, and of course, you know, this card doesn't really do anything when you play it for 1. Just being able to swing for 2 and have a little goblin for the Beast is nice, but when this card is bounced back to your hand from other Beast followers, you're able to heal 1, and then later on in the game, if you don't really want to, you know, play very aggressively and you want to play back because, you know, you've already got your engine started post, you know, this Crocus Rat turn on turn 1, you're going to play this later on for maybe 6 play points to go ahead and get rid of a very scary card that your opponent has, and then you get the +1 card. Alright, next up we have Blossoming Archer, so it's a 1-cost 2-2. When it comes into play, you select enemy follower on the field. If you have at least 3 cards with different cost in your EX area, you deal it 3 damage. Alright, so it looks like this Archer is going to be helpful in your Arcana deck, so as long as you have at least 3 cards in your EX area, you're going to be dealing something 3 damage, and then having multiple of these Blossoming Archers will really definitely help out later on in the game. Alrighty, and moving on, we have Deepwood Wolf, so it's a 7 cost 4/4. It has Storm, and whenever another beast follower is put onto your field, give this follower +2/+2. You can also activate for 1 play point to put this card from your hand into your EX area, and then you can select a card on your field and put it into your EX area. Alright, so if you are afraid that your card is going to get removed by your opponent, do not feel sad, because this card will definitely help by having the 7 cost card into your EX area, also as like the beast archetype, but also having cards in your EX area for maybe the Arcana deck. You know, who's to say? But spending this 1 play point is going to put 2 cards into your EX area. It keeps one of the cards that you really didn't want to get removed safe, and you're able to replay those cards. Alrighty, and lastly, we have Fairy Assault, so it's a 3 cost spell. You summon 2 fairy tokens and you deal X damage to each enemy leader, and X equals the number of pixie tokens on your field. So some more fairy support, I'm loving it. I remember the times where I was saying, you know, fairy is just a token spam deck that is just not very good at all, and here it is. It was relevant. It actually showed up at grand finals, which made me pretty happy. So fairy's got some more support, and now they have a 3 cost card that's going to be dealing damage to how many pixie tokens are on the field. Alright, so here are the special cards we are going to be getting for Forestcraft this set 10. So we have the Zudia Leader and the Orcus Leader, which you can be looking forward to from pulling out of your box toppers, I believe. Yeah, these cards are going to be something to look forward to. I believe the Orcus Leader was supposed to come out in the earlier sets, but they released it for set 10 for us, so, you know, I'm glad that they're doing things very differently. I'm hoping that everybody's going to be pulling the leaders that they want to, and so on and so forth. And of course, I can't forget about our Hanged Man that's going to get a special UR here, which looks absolutely nice. I do really like how it's the Hanged Man Arcana on the cards, like, you know, the text is upside down. I kind of like that. Alright, I wanted to give all the Shadowverse soldiers out there a reminder that we have our 2nd anniversary cards coming out in this set. So, they have the serial hot stamp, so I don't know 100% if these are going to be token cards. This card looks like a token card, so I think it's going to be token cards with the serial numbers on it. Not 100% sure. If it's the legendaries from the regular, you know, set into text, that'd be cool too. But, you know, just having these token cards would be pretty cool just to have in your binder, and you have the serialized number. I'm hoping I might pull one out of my packs, who knows, but if all of them get pulled before I start pulling packs, you know, it's not the end of the world. Well, alright soldiers, that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. It is a blast going over these cards with you and figuring out these different archetypes that are getting new things. I know Arcana is going to be like the face of Forestcraft, but personally for me, I'm really excited for this Beast stuff, because like Beast had like no low to the ground cards, and now we have a Beast that has Storm and we have a Beast that has Ward, and you know, everything with Cetus and Cosmic Fang and everything, like I'm still really cooking with my Beast list, and I'm gonna try my best to get it on the channel as fast as I can, but I want to build something that works, and that's kind of hard when there's not really any basis for Shadowverse Evolve, where there's cards, well not cards, that there's decks that are out there, like, you know, we have the Thief deck, which has a very good example of being played, but, you know, the deck is very playable, and it's playable to, like, compete. I want the decks that you can't compete with that are more casual, like maybe Spartacus and other stuff like that, the secondary decks that are coming out. And that's what I wanted to focus on this later half of the set after grand finals, but you know, life happened and stuff happens. But I will try and get these decks out before the set ends, but I have a lot that I need to do for you guys in terms of reveals and, you know, the podcast and everything, which I hope you guys do check out. But alright soldiers, enough of me rambling. It is good to finally be back with you all. I missed you, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Make sure you are safe in whatever you do tonight, and safe whatever you do for the rest of the year. And make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Yeah. TRINN. Just to get you away. What I got to do. What I got to do. Just to get you away. What I got to do. What I got to do. Just to get you away. You pull me too close, now we hesitate. Every single move you make, it makes me feel